Let's understand what is an impulse. Okay, we know that our force is also defined as rate of change of momentum, right? D by dt of momentum mv. Okay, I want to write this as f dt is equal to dmv. Okay, my mass is a constant thing, by the way. Okay, if I integrate this, f dt is equal to m dv, what I am going to get is, let's take a look at the limits. At t is equal to t1, let's suppose my velocity is v1. At t is equal to t2, let's suppose my velocity is v2. Then what I get is integral f dt from t1 to t2 is equal to mv2 minus mv1. What I have over here is, this is known as the impulse of force F in the interval t1 to t2. Okay, so this is impulse of force F in interval from t1 to t2. Okay, this is your linear momentum at t2, this is your linear momentum at t1. So your impulse is equal to change in momentum between t2 to t1. Okay, just realize that my force is a vector, okay, and my velocity is a vector also. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make these quantities vector over here. This is a vector, this is a vector, force again a vector, dv a vector. So what I'm left with is this. Okay, so if I were to represent my force as components in x and y direction and my velocity as component in x and y direction, what I'm going to get is my impulse in x direction dt t1 to t2 is equal to my change in momentum in x direction. So m v2x minus m v1x. Okay, similarly my impulse of force F in y direction is going to be equal to what? It is going to be equal to m v2y minus m v1y. Okay, so look over here, you have a relationship between force, time and velocity. Okay, when we solved our problems with F is equal to ma, we had a relationship between force and acceleration. So essentially, if you are given force and acceleration, or if you want to find out acceleration, if you are given this, then you have to apply this equation. Okay, if you are given distance, okay, we know that F dot dr, this is the work done, is equal to what? Is equal to change in kinetic energy. So it is equal to half m v2 square minus half m v1 square. Over here you have a relationship between force, your displacement and velocity. Okay, so if you are given, let's suppose, force and displacement and you want to find out the velocity, you are going to use your work energy principle. Okay, if you are given force and time and you have to find out the velocity, then you are going to use your impulse momentum principle. Okay, this is your impulse momentum principle. So a same problem can be solved in three different ways. You have F is equal to ma, where you relate force and acceleration. You have F dot dr is equal to half mv2 square minus half mv1 square, where you relate force, distance and velocity, or rather speed, and you have F dot dt is equal to mv2 minus mv1, where you relate force, time and velocity. So depending upon what type of question you have, you should use one of these three which gives you the answer in the quickest possible time. Okay, all three can be used to get to our results. Okay, as we had seen earlier, we could find out first acceleration and then we could find out velocity by using v is equal to u plus at, right? This is going to connect the other three, okay, because over here you have acceleration and time. Okay, so once you have reached at v, you could either get a or t depending upon what else do you have. Okay, let's call this impulse as this. My impulse from t1 to t2 is equal to f dt t1 to t2. Okay, I'm just representing this integral with this thing. Okay, so now let's suppose I have many different bodies connected together in some system. Okay, then I would have to find out the impulse on each body. Okay, and this would hold on each body, on the forces acting on those bodies. Therefore what I'm going to get is my sum of impulses from t1 to t2 is going to be equal to sum of momentum of each bodies at point 2 minus sum of momentum of these bodies at point 1 or at time 1. Okay, so this is your sum of all the impulses of forces that are acting between time t1 and t2. Okay, and this is your momentum of all the bodies at time t2. Okay, when your velocity is v2. This is sum of momentum of all the bodies at time t1. At time t1 my velocity is v1. Okay, so you get this result, and if you have the sum of forces as equal to 0, okay, if for a system you have the sum of external forces as equal to 0, then what you get is a very important result, which is mv2 minus mv1 is equal to 0, which basically tells you that your momentum is conserved. Okay, so you get this. So your initial momentum is equal to the final momentum when your external forces are equal to 0. Okay, if your resultant of external forces are equal to 0, then the impulse corresponding to that force or that resultant is also going to be 0. Okay, because what is this resultant impulse? It's basically f1 dt plus f2 dt plus f3 dt and so on. Okay, now if your f1, f2, f3 together make a 0, then you get this sum of integrals as 0. Okay, if your f1, f2 and f3 are constant, they are not dependent on your t, and f1 plus f2 plus f3 is equal to 0, then you have your momentum conserved. Okay, to understand this concept, just think of a cannon. Okay, let's suppose I have a cannon which is like this. Okay, it is standing on the ground, it is in equilibrium. Okay, and I am firing a projectile from this cannon. Okay, let's suppose this is my projectile. When I fire this cannon, what's going to happen is there is going to be an explosion happening over here. So this projectile is going to give a reaction to this cannon. Okay, and obviously the reaction always happens in equal and opposite pairs. So this cannon is going to give a reaction which is going to be equal and opposite to this projectile. Therefore the net force or the net external force acting at the time of explosion is 0. Okay, so what you are going to have is sigma mv2 is equal to sigma mv1. initially this cannon is in equilibrium, it is having no velocity, okay? So this is going to be 0, so you're left with this is going to be 0 as well. So what you're going to have is mass of cannon into velocity of cannon after projectile has been fired is equal to negative of mass of projectile into velocity of projectile, okay? So if my projectile goes this way, my cannon is going to go back, or it's gonna go this way, okay? So that is why recoil happens in a cannon when a projectile is fired, or when a bullet is fired in a gun, the gun recoils, okay? So that's the concept of conservation of momentum when external force is 0, okay? Now let's understand what is an impulsive force. So impulsive force is a large force that acts for a small amount of time and which is capable of affecting the momentum of the body, okay? So it is a large force that affects the momentum of the body and generally acts for a small amount of time, okay? So if let's suppose I have a batsman and he hits a ball, okay, which is coming like this. So at the moment when he hits the ball, you have an impulse due to the reaction when these two bodies make contact, okay? So that is an impulsive force. Just understand, gravity is also working on this ball, but the gravity's impulse is negligible as compared to the impulse due to this reaction. Therefore we do not call force due to gravity as an impulsive force, okay? Moreover, your gravity is acting all throughout, okay? It is not acting just when the ball is hit. It was acting earlier, it's going to act afterwards also. So my impulsive force is something that acts for a small amount of time, and it is a large force, therefore it is capable of producing large amount of impulse, okay? So if I could neglect the impulse of gravity and other such forces, what I get is basically this. I would have mv1 is, or rather mv1 plus F delta t is equal to mv2, okay, where F delta t sigma is equal to sum of all impulsive forces into the time that they act for, okay? So we are saying my impulsive force is capable in producing a change in momentum. So this is your change in momentum, your initial momentum plus your impulse due to that impulsive force is going to be your final momentum, okay? We are generally looking only for impulsive forces when we are applying this particular equation, because the impulse due to other forces are negligible, okay? Just realize that this is not a new equation, okay? This is not something that you would have to memorize. Look, what we have is my f dt from t1 to t2 is equal to what? It is equal to mv2 minus mv1, okay? So over here my f is the resultant of all the forces. So what I get is t1 t2 f1 plus f2 plus f3 so on till dt, right, is equal to mv2 minus mv1. So what I would have is t1 to t2 f1 dt plus t1 to t2 f2 dt so on, and this is going to be equal to mv2 minus mv1, okay? We are saying that we are talking about the impulse only of impulsive forces. So let us assume this is not an impulsive force, so impulse of this thing is going to be negligible as compared to this. Therefore we would neglect these terms, and what we would be left with is something like this: f I1 T1 to T2 dt plus Fi2 T1 to T2 dt so on equal to mv2 minus mv1, where what is Fi1, Fi2? These are your impulsive forces, okay? And if these impulsive forces are constant during this interval, then what you would have is sigma Fi delta t is going to be T2 minus T1, right? Since this is constant, you are going to get Fi1 T2 minus T1, which is your delta t, right? So you would have this thing equal to mv2 minus mv1, or you would have mv1 plus sigma Fi delta t equal to mv2, okay? So this is the result that we talked about earlier, and this is not a special result, it is just derived from the impulse momentum principle. When we are neglecting the